I'm saying? Yeah. The fanatic. Where we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to be. Talking that sports talk. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of South Carolina. Upstate, A64. Yeah. The FANATTIC. The fanatic where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what.
Welcome into the Fanatic Sports Channel for sports fans by sports fans. It's your man, Coach I. All right, man, we're in here for another season preview. This time it's going to be the USC Trojans, man, and we got a special guest, USCJ here. We're going to bring USCJ on, man. USCJ, hey, he's blowing up on YouTube, man. He got all the USC fans going crazy, man. What's going on, USCJ?
Man, what's going on, my man? What's the word?
Hey, man.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you, man. Hey, I'm a fan of you.
Hey, no problem, man. Hey, we got to help each other in this business, man. And you know I can always talk some college football. I don't care who we talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Same here.
Right. So today, man, we're gonna talk about some key losses, some key returners, your schedule, the move to the Big Ten, and get your prediction, man. We're gonna get you on video saying what you think the Trojans gonna do this year, and then you know people gonna try to follow up at the end of the season to see if you was right. Oh man, so man, let's jump into the key losses and key returners, man. I think this is just my personal opinion. When it's a Lincoln Riley offense, as long as you got a good quarterback and a couple of receivers, I think he good. You know what I'm saying? You guys lost. Yeah. You lost Drake London to the draft. You know what I'm saying? But then you got Jordan Addison. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And you picked up the other Oklahoma wide receiver. So I don't know if you know. Are you worried about any position on offense?
Man, I'm not worried. I mean, you know we lost Drake London. Of course, you know we lost Jackson Dart to Ole Miss, and then we lost the tight end Michael Trigg to Ole Miss as well. But I feel like, man, what we got in return was so much more, in my opinion. Of course, you know, Jordan Addison, Mario Williams, and, of course, Caleb Williams, along with Washington receiver Terrell Bynum. I mean, we got so many other guys that came. Washington, Brandon Rice, Jerry Rice's son, he came from Colorado. We got so many other guys that came, man. I mean, the receivers core is stacked. And the quarterback room is stacked. We still got Miller Moss, who's our backup quarterback, who I feel like is a good compliment to Caleb Williams. He actually showed out in the spring game. So, I think right now, man, I mean, we're going to be much better as it relates to the offense next year, man.
I agree. I think the biggest thing is the defense. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like Riley's going to have to overhaul that defense. You guys only returned 3 starters on defense. The defensive stats wasn't great last year. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for him. He did bring in Alex Grinch from Oklahoma, and I think there's mixed reviews on Alex Grinch one way or the other. But just a little stats, just a little stats from last year. Team-wise, overall, you guys were 11th in points allowed, 9th in pass yards per game, 8th in rush yards per game, and 10th in total yards per game. So how you see that defense going? I mean, you see the offense just having to carry y'all until y'all get it together?
Man, I honestly, I think the transfer portal really, it kind of gave us a boost that wouldn't normally come as a result of, you know, the transfer portal, man. It just really boosted us up. And I'm gonna tell you, let me say this too. The year before we played in the Pac-12 championship, so I think a lot of this had to do with some coaching, man, because since 2015, if you look at the rosters, 2015 out of 5 or 6 schools, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Clemson, I think we've had the most. All of us had the most 5-stars, starting out with Alabama, Georgia, and Clemson, Ohio State, and I think we were number 14, tied with Texas A&M and LSU. I'm saying that to say that we had the talent, but we just didn't have the coaching. Me and you just talked about that. We didn't have the coaching to couple that with. So as a result, we looked terrible, but we had talent. We still got the number 1 player overall. That's Derek Corey Foreman. We still have. Caleb Bullock, who's actually he was a freshman All-American last year at safety. He's still there. We got through the transfer portal a guy by the name of Solomon Byrd. He was actually getting ready to go to Georgia Tech, 6'5", 260-pound defensive end. He's from the Los Angeles area, so he came in. We got Jacoby Covington, who's a safety from Washington. He just came through. We got Carson Tabernacle. He's a linebacker that just transferred from Utah. He's a true freshman, but actually he was a three-star, but he was, you know, from my understanding, he was showing out in practice at Utah with the Spring. So we got him. We got Eric Gentry. I'm sure you heard of him. He's a freshman All-American from Arizona State. Linebacker. We just got him. We got Ohio State safety that just came in, Bryson Shaw. I think he was second or third in team tackling last year at Ohio State. And so we got of course Ishmael Sofer, who came from TCU, defensive tackle. Tyrone Talini came from Kansas State. He's the defensive tackle. We got Romello Height. Did I mention him? From Auburn. He's an edge rusher. We got Sean Lee from Alabama. He's a linebacker. Started as a freshman at Alabama, and I think he played in all games. Had a lot of tackles. So we got him. Mekhi Blackman, who came from Colorado as well, cornerback. He actually, I think PFF had him ranked to be the top 4 in catches allowed. I think that's a stat. So we got quite a few players, man, through the portal. Oh, Latrell McCutcheon from Oklahoma as well. He was a cornerback, 4-star cornerback coming out. He got in a couple games last year for Oklahoma. So man, I know it looks bad from a last year of 4-8 team, but you couple the guys that we've had, like a Corey Foreman, you couple the guys that we've had, like a Caleb Bullock, even a guy by the name of Max Williams, guys that we've already had there. I think you're going to see an overall defense overhauled, man. I mean, completely overhauled. I think that's what Lincoln Riley, he makes reference to when he says this is going to be the most unique roster that we've ever seen before. Because, I mean, you got to remember Michigan State, they won 2 games, but then a year after they had a transfer portal thing going on, they came back and won 11 wins. So I think that's the kind of effect that we're going to have.
I think that all those transfers definitely going to help. I think, though, honestly, I feel like the offense is going to be really good, and I think that may be y'all best defense. The fact that y'all are going to put so much pressure on other teams to try to keep up. You know how it is. Like, when you score a touchdown, they're good, but then you score a second touchdown, then you score a third touchdown, a couple field goals. Now they're in their mind, they're pressed on getting into the end zone. The clock becomes their enemy, and I think that is going to help you guys this year. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely, that's an incredible point, because you know as well as I know, I think that was some of our downfall last year. When you lead a defense on the field so long, it'll wear you out to the point to where you just don't have no comeback in you, man. And I think that was really one of the big issues that we had. And I think now we flipping it around. I think, to your point, I think we're able to do that now with our offense. We can control the clock. We can control the ball. We got Travis Dyer that came. Well, we'll talk about the offense whenever you get a chance. But I think we got a lot of players, man, to make some things happen so we can control the clock and wear defense.
That's right, man. So let's go ahead and jump into that schedule, man. Like, y'all open up at home against Rice. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing because even though you guys got a lot of, elite pieces on offense, as we've seen time and time again from the college ranks to the pro ranks, you can't just put all the athletes and the talent on the field and expect it to do what it do. You still have to have some chemistry, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that Rice game is going to be a good way. It's all right. Listen, no disrespect to Rice, man, but I think it's a good, like a scrimmage. You feel me?
Man, I'm not putting nothing past nobody. Look, I was so traumatized through last year, man. Man, when you go through trauma, man, it's hard to shake back. And so look, Rice, I just happened to watch some film on them the other day, and I happened to watch a game the beginning of the season last year, and they played Arkansas. They were going back and forth, man. And I'm like, is this the Rice we playing? I mean, like, really? you know what I mean? So I'm not putting. I mean, Rice looked pretty good. I don't know if that McCaffrey guy is coming back, the quarterback. I think that's Christian McCaffrey's brother. Yeah. He came from Michigan. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's got another. Yeah.
So man, to me they look good. So I'm not putting. But yeah, I think we're gonna win. I think we can win by 30. But they had some receivers. They had some players that look pretty decent.
Yeah, man. Then you follow that up at Stanford. Stanford hasn't been really good these last couple of years, but it's another California school, and not for nothing. I know you guys, probably do a lot of trash talking with them other California schools out there.
Yeah. Stanford. Normally, I would say, man, it's going to be a tough game, but the fact that, and the reason I would say that, because, when you play in conference play, you're very familiar with each team that you're playing with. So I think a little bit of a twist now, I think with Stanford, they're not going to be familiar with Lincoln Riley and what he's doing unless they try to go watch some Oklahoma film. But it's no telling what type of wrinkle Lincoln Riley's going to throw in it. So I think we're going to beat them. I think we're going to beat them pretty good. I think that could be a 20, 30-point league game as well, win for us. And the reason I say that is because they're not used to what we bringing to the table right now. They don't have no idea, and I think that's gonna hurt them.
I think you hit on something, man. Like normally teams in your conference know you better than anybody in America. You know what I'm saying? Because they play you year in, year out. But if they hadn't played OU in the last couple of years, they don't really know what Lincoln Riley is bringing, like, you know, from down to down every single series. So I think you got a good point with that. Then you still in California with the Fresno State Bulldogs. Now, Fresno State's one of them group of five. I always respect Fresno State because they always seem to have a good defense and a good running game.
Well, you look at the Raiders, man. You look at who their quarterback and look at who their receiver they got now. That they both came from Fresno State. So that should tell you something, man. Devontae Freeman. And you know, it's like, even when Reggie Bush days, when we won national championships, we had problems with Fresno State, man. It's unbelievable. I've never understood.
I can tell you why. You want me to tell you why? It's the same reason why there's times when Georgia struggles with South Carolina. It's because there's a lot of players at Fresno State that felt like they should have got an offer from USC. And they from California, homegrown. You know, South Carolina has like over half their roster is Georgia players that either got recruited and chose to go to South Carolina or didn't get recruited. So now they feel like, okay, you don't recruit me, I'm going to show you. You know what I'm saying? It's that one game. It's like, if we can't beat nobody, we can try to do SC like that. So I think that's got something to do with a lot of homegrown California guys on that Fresno State team. But I think you guys are handled.
I totally agree.
I think you guys will handle them, and y'all will be at 3-0 at this point in the season. Going into Oregon to Corvallis to play Oregon State. Oregon State's a tricky team, man. Like they never really like.
Man, they tricky, man. I was committed. I was going to Oregon State to play running back, man, and man, they've always had good running backs, good receivers, you know. But man, they're another Fresno State that says Oregon State, man. But we just can't sleep on them, man. I remember first game season last year, they went down to Purdue and gave Purdue fits. And I mean, I'm not saying Purdue is no powerhouse, but it's just the fact that they'll go places, man, and trip up people, man, that are not expecting it. So I'm not saying that we're gonna lose against them. I think it's a win. I think what we got on the field too, specifically offensively, it's just too much, man. I think it's gonna be too much.
Because at the end of the day, man, it comes down to the Jimmies and Joes, and you guys got too many Jimmies, and they have not enough Joes. So then you back at home against Arizona State. Again, not a team that I think should give you guys problems. I mean, it is a way. I mean, we play the games for a reason, but I just don't think they have enough horses in the stable to keep up, you know, with a Lincoln Riley style offense, man. And then you go to another home game against Washington State. Now, when they had Mike Leach, they could put up points. Now, since Mike Leach left the last 2 years, I don't know, man. It's kind of been rocky out there.
Hey, well, just think, we blew them out last year. Jackson Dart, that he came in and filled in for Keenan Slovis. We beat them like, and it was at Washington State, so it was like about 30 points, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a win.
I think that's a win. And this is where I think your first test comes. You got to go to Salt Lake City to play Utah. That right there is going to tell you all you need to know about the season this year.
Man, that is. I told guys on my channel. I said I consider that to be a 50-50 game. Not only that, the altitude is different. You know, those guys that came from the South, man, they're not used to that Utah altitude.
Thank you.
I worked out there. The breathing, it's just crazy, man.
I think people overlook that. I think people overlook that altitude that you have to play at out in Utah.
Oh man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, and so I'm putting it as a 50-50 game with a slight edge to us, but man, that's a rough one, man. I mean, because that stadium's gonna be jam-packed, man. Oregon, Utah, and the University of Washington, believe it or not, those stadiums be absolutely they SEC style lit, man. I mean, that's how they are, man. And so it's gonna be a hostile environment.
Yeah. Now I will give you guys the edge on offense, but I think top to bottom, when you take in consideration experience, playing together, continuity, and returning starters, I think Utah overall would have that edge. That's why I got it at a 50-50. Plus, you got to go to Utah.
Yeah.
If they was coming to the Coliseum, it might be a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? So that's
The only thing I say, I don't know if you watched them doing when they played Ohio State. They gave Ohio State problems, man. That quarterback in the Rose Bowl, they played Cam Rising. The only thing I'm gonna say about that is that they lost that little receiver named Cubby. Man, he was an absolute problem. I mean, running kick return. And then they lost them 2 linebackers, man. So I think one of them went the first round. Was it Lloyd? Is his name Lloyd? Devin Lloyd?
No, he was a linebacker. He was a linebacker because he came in. He came in second to the.
Yeah, he went the first. He went the first round.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that can give us a little bit of an edge. But I mean, it's still to me a 50-50 game. So
that's a good thing though, because you can lay it on the line because you got an off week after that. So you know what I'm saying, you can leave it all on the field and then get you a week to recover from that. And then you play at Arizona, Arizona hadn't been able to find it for some years now. I don't know what's going on. Why can't Arizona?
That's a W. That's a W, man. Let's just say that's a W, bro.
Hey, for real, I'm with you on that. And then you follow that up with a home game against Cal. I mean, bruh.
Cal, you know, I feel like we're gonna win that game, but they could be a little tricky at times. But yeah, we're gonna win. I mean, Cal, we count that a W. I don't think they have anything that's gonna, you know, and plus that's at home. I think we're good.
Yeah, and then you got another home game. God, bro, how many home games y'all got? Jesus Christ. Oh, I think it just seemed like a lot because you played Stanford in the beginning. That's still in California, but not at home. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like that's a long way. That's way in probably out there. That's a long way. You got to think 8 hours away is Sacramento, man. California big, you know what I mean?
You're right. So then after Cal, y'all got Colorado. Colorado, one of these teams that you never know they good until like 5 or 6 games into the season. You like, man, Colorado ain't like.
Man. Yeah, actually, man, Colorado, man, they took Texas A&M last year all the way to the man. I don't know if you watched that game. It was 10. The game ended up being 10-7. So I don't never sleep on them either, man. But I think it's gonna be a W. We got 2 of their best players this year through the portal, man. Their receiver, I think he accounted for Rice accounted for 400 and something, almost 500 yards, and then Blackman, one of the best cornerbacks in the Pac-12 period. So I think we're gonna win.
Y'all take that one too. Then you gotta travel to the Rose Bowl, man, to play Chip Kelly and company, man. Listen, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. When Chip Kelly first got the job at UCLA, I was like, Chip Kelly gonna do his thing, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember what he did at Oregon, but it just hasn't panned out that way. So what you thinking? No, it hasn't. So what you thinking for this game?
It hasn't. It hasn't. In the beginning of the season last year, the way they bullied LSU, man, I mean, it was just, you know, Zach Charbonnet, that running back, man, just went absolutely berserk on him. And I'm thinking like, man, what kind of UCLA team are we about to start seeing, man? But I think it kind of, you know, even out, man. And you know, they really did develop like the way they thought they were and the way I thought they were. I'm going to give us the edge. Now they do have a good quarterback, man. That, you know, he's coming back, man. So he's a little tricky. You probably seen him play against LSU, man. Darian Thompson-Robinson. But I'm gonna give us the edge on that.
Yeah, I seen him play, and he's kind of like the dude that transferred out of Arizona State. Daniels, like both of those guys are very athletic. You know, they can pass the ball, but it's like you know they'll be good, you know, for a while, then they'll do some craziness for a while.
Crazy stuff.
Very inconsistent.
Very inconsistent.
Very inconsistent.
I kind of feel like I feel like Spencer Rattler is like that. I
think so too. I think that's why Caleb was able to come in and start take his job, because when he's good, he's very good, but when he's bad, he's very bad.
Right.
So, same thing. Then you finish the season with a team y'all ain't beat in a while, man. Notre Dame.
Man, I'm gonna tell you though, man. As bad as we were last year, I think the score we lost at Notre Dame 33-17, and it wasn't that far. It wasn't just a blowout. I mean, we were in the game and some crazy mistakes at the goal line. I mean, just crazy. Man, I think we're gonna beat Notre Dame, man. Their quarterback, we don't even know how solid the quarterback's going to be. This is Marcus Freeman's first year. Now, I do like the way he's recruiting. He's big time at recruiting. We know he was a good defensive coordinator, but how does a defensive coordinator translate over to a head coach? We yet to see any of that, man. We'll see that with Dan Lennon as well, coming from Georgia, man. You've been a Georgia fan, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I think you guys got the horses to beat Notre Dame. I think, team-wise, it's kind of equal. Both teams got talent. Like you said, you got Marcus Freeman, who's a first-time head coach. I don't really count the bowl game like that. But from Notre Dame fans' point of view, man, they are really liking what Marcus Freeman is doing up there.
He's killing the game in recruiting right now, man. I mean, he's really killing it.
And that game's at home for you guys. So just looking at the schedule, man, honestly, like, I got you guys. I mean, the only games I really got, like you say, anybody can beat anybody on a Saturday. That's why we play. But when I look at the tough matchups, I think it's at Utah, because like I said, Utah is one of my – listen, man, I got Utah as one of my sleepers. I ain't even going to lie. And it's at Utah. And then, of course, Notre Dame. And then just because it's that L.A. rivalry, that UCLA game, those are the three games that I –
those are the games that's real for us, man. They're tricky. They're real tricky for us.
During the season, man, do you think, because y'all are going to the Big Ten next year, right?
See, we kind of got some conflicting reports. Some people think it's 23, 24 season, and so we gotta get confirmation on that. Or is it 25, 24, 25? You know how they break them up in the seasons, but so I know our TV rights end next year, so my thinking was that it's going to be at the beginning of next year. So I hadn't seen. We kind of looked at some stuff, so we got to get some confirmation on that. And I did see one thing, and I could be wrong about this, but I know we open up next year with LSU at the beginning of the season in Las Vegas. And so I seen something where it says, and USC is going to the Big Ten, and they open up with LSU, and then they're going to have this Big Ten schedule. So somebody told me that wasn't correct, but I got to get confirmation on that.
So with the whole move to the Big Ten, do you think that's going to be a distraction for the coaches and or the players?
I don't think it's going to be a distraction. However, I think we need to recruit a little bit different as it relates.
Right. So you think it's going to change the type of players that you recruit?
Not necessarily the skilled players, but I think the interior players, we got to do something a little different, because I mean those Big Ten teams, man. Let's just be honest. I mean those teams come with it, man. And I remember every year, and I think it's one of those, you guys play a Big Ten team every year. The Outback Bowl, I think. Yep. And they've always, man, they brought it to you. And then of course, we play them as well in the Rose Bowl every year, and so we used to them once a year, but every week to week to week to week, that's a whole different story. So I just think we gotta develop our players better and kind of recruit interior players.
Yeah, I think you definitely hit something there. I think the SEC and the Big Ten both, like when they form their teams, they form it inside out. O-line, D-line. I mean, you can see it at Wisconsin. Wisconsin always either has they always have a top 3 offensive line.
Man, always. They always have some big every year. And that's why they always have like the best running backs running through. I mean, way back from Ron Dane, man. They've always had good running backs. And then, like you say, on the defense, you gotta have those big guys, those big strong physical, fast guys in that interior, man, to battle those kind of offensive lines such as the Wisconsins. I mean, Ohio State, they got the skilled players like you guys got, but then they had those interior defensive line. I think that's kind of why they, are so good in the Big Ten, because they get those better, bigger, faster, stronger guys. Like I said, it's not a knock on the Pac-12 or the ACC or the Big 12. They just don't recruit like that. I think those leagues recruit quarterback first, skill player second, you know what I'm saying, and then they get whatever's left. I think with the SEC and the Big 10, they'll take a mediocre quarterback and then say, give me a dominant offensive. Like, look at Arkansas, man. I mean, Sam Pittman has come in and, changed that offensive line, and now they just mashing people, you know what I'm saying? But Man, Arkansas they just look beast mode last year, man. I mean, I'm just like, is this the same Arkansas, man? They just look so physical, man. I mean, I really like what I see from them.
And like you said, with Wisconsin, they always got great running backs because they are not that the running backs aren't good, but they running behind one of the best offensive lines in the nation, but their quarterback play isn't like what Pac-12 quarterback play might be. You see what I'm saying? So that's just like I say, you hit it on the head, man. Like you say, y'all got to recruit a little bit different. That travel gonna be, hey man, I don't know how many games you go to, man, but that travel gonna be ridiculous.
Man, here's the thing. I think we got to see how it's gonna work out because I think they may end up. We'll see what's going on with Notre Dame. We played Notre Dame. We've been playing Notre Dame since 1925, every single year. Notre Dame, other than UCLA, Notre Dame is our biggest rival. So we've gone out that way. But to do it day in and day out, we'll see how the schedule work out. That's why I wanted them to bring like a Washington or Stanford. I think they're gonna end up bringing a Stanford. Stanford is Notre Dame, one of Notre Dame's rivals as well. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. But if they can at least get 2 more schools on the West Coast, man, like maybe a Stanford or Washington, I think we'll be good, man. That way we'll be guaranteed to stay. And the schedule balance out. Yeah. You know, it won't be as bad.
As a fan, man, it's different than going to Cal, I mean, and flying to Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying?
So, the weather and everything, man.
So I think we already kind of touched on it, man. Vegas got y'all at 9.5 wins as the betting total for this year, and then I think you said, outright win for all the games except for, I think you said, a toss-up for Utah and a toss-up for Notre Dame, I think. So that'll be about, like you said, about 10.5, 11 win. I think I had y'all I think I'm the same way with you, man. I just don't see any teams on the schedule. Again, we could be wrong, but outside of Utah, UCLA, and Notre Dame, I don't see anybody being able to, give you a full 4 quarters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and if we didn't hit the portal like this, you got to understand. They did I think it was Fox Sports, one of them. They did Athlon Sports. One of them did top receiving corps. Yeah. They had Ohio State number 1. They had us number 2. But actually, when I did the numbers, even though they had Ohio State, Jackson Smith-Njigba was like 1,600 yards. We had Jordan Addison. They had 1,500 yards. But all the other guys, like a Gary Bryant Jr., he's coming back, had 575 yards. Brandon Rice, like I told you, 470-something yards. Taj Washington had 600 yards. I added it up. It was like 4,100 yards from our receiving corps. So that's production that's coming back, and we're killing Ohio State as it relates to the production coming back. And you had an Oregon running back, Travis Dodd, and then Austin Jones, Stanford running back, and then, along with some of the other guys. Man, it's just too. I think that we're gonna have one of the best offenses this year, man. Our offensive line is PFF ranked them as number 1. As far as them coming back, they are experienced. I will say that. They're seniors, they're coming back. Now, what we're going to do next year, hopefully we replenish that. That's a whole nother story.
That'll be a video for next year's season preview. But, when they be putting out those lists, sometimes I be wondering, they a lot of times they don't put out the criteria. Like you just said, when you talk about when you talk about production.
It's crazy. I go by the numbers, man. I go by the numbers.
When you talk about, yards per game, catches, and things like that, you guys, got Ohio State. Only reason I could think they got Ohio State ahead of y'all is because all of Ohio State wide receivers have played with their quarterback, and as you play football.
That's the only,
you play football, I play football. But the thing is, as good as it is, you still got to have your timing down, and so I guess they say,
absolutely.
Only Mario has played with Caleb right now. Jordan hadn't played with Caleb.
Right.
I think that's the only reason why they do stuff like that. But a lot of times I be looking at the list, I'm like, man, what criteria y'all using? You know what I'm saying? Like they got Stetson Bennett as the 8th best quarterback. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Stetson is the elite by no means, but 8th best quarterback in the SEC. Like, you ain't telling me he the 8th best in the SEC, dog. Like,
wow.
Wow. Like, no respect.
I mean, who they got ahead of them?
Everybody. It didn't matter who it was when I was looking at the list. I'm like, man, they had one guy who, I want to say he wasn't even a starter last year. I'm like, it's just mad disrespect. Like I said, that's why sometimes you got to take the list with a grain of salt. Like you say, you got to look at the numbers. Stetson was QBR last year. Like you say, I try to look at the numbers. QBR, he was like top 5 last year. So, but I can go on and on about that though.
Yeah.
Hey man, but we appreciate you coming on the show previewing the USC Trojans, man. So At the end of it all, give me your what you think. I know you think y'all gonna play for the big Pac-12 championship, but do you see y'all competing to try to get in the playoffs?
Man, I think if we just say, for example, we lose against Utah, they just changed the format with the Pac-12, so there's no more North and no more South playing each other. They're gonna do the best percentages. Whoever has the best percentages, win percentages throughout the season, whether it's Utah and USC, even though we already played, that means that we can play them twice. So I think if we see them twice, if we did in the event we did lose against them, I think we can recover from that and win. And if we lose against a Utah that's already beat Florida, for example, if they play Florida at the beginning of the season, if we beat them, because we know they're going to be ranked pretty high if they happen to beat Florida. So I think if we beat them, and they had already beat us, I think that'll give us a way, because we're beating a ranked team, and then we beat a Notre Dame, we beat a UCLA. I think that'll give us enough to make it in.
Okay. I can see that. I can see if that scenario playing out. I will say I feel like Utah, I don't know who will win that game. It's going to be hard to win at Utah. But like you said, because you got rid of the divisions, you could come back and you could play them in the championship. And if they beat y'all the first time, we already know it's hard to beat teams twice, even though Utah did do it to Oregon last year. They did it in good fashion too. But I got y'all in the mix, man. As far as the Pac-12 is concerned, I think this year it may be a little. I think because the committee now, not just I know a lot of fans think it's the fans, but the committee doesn't hold. They don't give the Pac-12 a lot of passes. You feel me? Like,
hey, but it's the thing is this, and I'm glad you said that. This is how we be feeling on the West Coast, man. I mean, because you got to understand, man. Look, like you put Utah. You see what they went neck and neck with Ohio State last year. I mean, Utah was literally one of the best teams, and Oregon's has some good teams, but I feel like the system is broken to an extent, man, and it's really biased, because I remember a couple times throughout the years, man, you look, and they're going to do it again in August, man. They're going to put all these SEC teams, they're going to put Tennessee up there, they're going to put Auburn up, they're going to rank them high, man. They do it every year. And what happens is when Georgia plays them, it makes the strength of schedule better. So to me, the system is like, it's flawed, man, and it's not a legit system, man. If they would do it by percentages, kind of like what I was talking about, I think we'd come out better. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with it, man.
I think ultimately, I think we kind of talked about it on another show, but I think it'll eventually be either 2 or 3 conferences. They're going to have to change the playoff format, but in the current style, we already know how they feel about the Pac-12, which leads me to say you can't have too many, hiccups on the schedule. It's almost like a Pac-12 school may have to go undefeated, because when you're looking at a one-loss Pac-12 school against a one-loss Ohio State or a one-loss Michigan or a one-loss Clemson or a one-loss Georgia, Alabama, I think the Pac-12 is going to lose out. And that's not to say that it's fair, but I think that's the way that it currently is. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how all that play out, man. But, man, we appreciate you getting on the show, man.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Anytime, man. I got to get you on mine, man. USCJ on YouTube. Look me up, USCJ.
That's right, and his link will be in the description. Don't go out there and subscribe to his channel. USC fans, if you agree with USCJ, get in them comments. Let us know. If you disagree, let us know what you're saying about it, man. From all the USC fans that I interact with, they kind of on the same page you on. So I'll be interested to see if somebody disagrees. Tell them where they can find you on Twitter too.
On Twitter, it's a little bit different than YouTube. YouTube is just USCJ. On Twitter, it's going to be USCJ32, and it's the same way on Instagram. USCJ32 on Twitter and Instagram.
Like I say, all his information will be down in the comments, man. So for USCJ and the Trojans, it's Coach I, Fan Addict. We out of here, man.
We got it jumping like it's that valley. I call my dogs out the pound, let's go eat. Turn on the Fan Addict, let's have a debate. Who really hold down the Southeast from state to state? What team hungry gonna eat everything up off they plate?